reorganization meeting of the Board of Education of the South Country Central School District. I'm Christine Flynn, the district clerk. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our flag is in a different spot tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I will administer the oath of office for newly elected trustees. I'll start with Gina Ancona.
Now advance.
You're going to need to repeat after me.
Okay.
So you're going to raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Gina Ancona,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Board of Education trustee
of Board of Education trustee
of the South Country Central School
of
District
the South Country Central School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Congratulations. Okay, next will be Cheryl A. Felice. Walk up. Stand back. So you're going to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, state your name,
I, Cheryl Felice,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Board of Education trustee
of Board of Education trustee
of the South Country Central School District
of the South Country Central School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. At this time, I will administer the oath of faithful performance of office of the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Joseph Gianni.
Yeah, my social business.
I state your name.
I, Joseph Gianni,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Superintendent of Schools
of Superintendent of Schools
of the South Country Central School
of
District
the South Country Central School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
At this time, I'd like to call for the nomination of the office of the President of the Board of Education. May I have a nomination motion, please?
I would like to make a nomination.
Okay, Mr.
Ms.
Parker?
Ann Hayes.
Do I have a second? Cameron Trent, second. Do I have any other nominations for the office of President? Any other nominations? Okay. There being none, the nomination is closed, and I'd like to call for a motion for the vote of Ann Hayes for President of the Board of Education.
Motion?
So the motion is by Clyde Parker, seconded by Cameron Trent, and I need to do a roll call vote. Gina Ancona? Yes, okay. Melissa Aruda?
Yes.
Cheryl Felice?
Yes.
Ann Hayes?
Yes.
Clyde Parker? Yes. Chris Pacini?
Yes.
Cameron Trent?
Yes.
The vote passes. From this point, the school board president will be Ann Hayes for the 2020-2021 school year. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, the President of the Board of Education will now preside over the remainder of the meeting. I will now administer the oath of office to you. Raise your right hand.
I, B. Ann Hayes,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Board of Education President
of Board of Education President
of the South Country Central School
of the
District
South Country Central School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Cameron, you may as well sit here right away. You may as well sit here right away. You're gonna I'll move over there. And did you want?
Yes, I will absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, the next order of business is I'm calling for nominations for the Vice President of the Board. Does anyone have a nomination for Vice President? Ms. Aruda?
I'd like to nominate Cameron Trent.
Okay, nomination for Cameron Trent. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Okona has seconded it. So the nomination of Cameron Trent has been made. Are there any other nominations for Vice President? Seeing none, we now will take a roll call vote on the motion by Ms. Aruda, seconded by Ms. Ancona, to have Cameron Trent be Vice President. We'll start with Ms. Ancona,
Yes.
Ms. Aruda,
Yes.
Ms. Felice,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes, yes. Mr. Parker,
Yes.
yes. And Mr. Pacini,
No.
no. And Mr. Trent,
Yes.
yes. So we have 6 votes in favor, 1 no. The motion is passed, and the school board vice president from here on out for this school year will be Cameron Trent. Ms. Flynn, could you please complete this
Yes.
process? Thank you.
You can raise Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Cameron Trent,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Board of Education Vice President
of Board of Education Vice President
of the South Country Central School District
of the South Country Central School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, that's just it.
Sorry. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We still have more than a quorum, so Mr. Pacini will be back shortly. Next, I need to get a motion for the following officers. We have District Clerk Christine Flynn, District Clerk Pro Tem Sarah Shepelati, District Treasurer Christine Johnson, Deputy District Treasurer Nelson Briggs. May I have a motion and a second for these officers? Mr. Parker has made the motion, Ms. Aruda has seconded it. All in favor of appointing these persons as officers, please raise your hand. I see all 6 hands raised, so they are all, the motion is passed. And I think that the district council administers the oath of office to Christine Flynn, our district clerk. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Christine Flynn,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of District Clerk of the South Country Central School District
of District Clerk of the South Country Central School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Thank you.
If I could just make a comment here that if history is any indication of the future in terms of the best of Christine Flynn's abilities, we're on a great track because of what we've observed her doing, particularly toward the end of this last school year. So thank you very much. All right. I'm sorry?
Then we'll go to the agenda for 6.
I'm getting to that right now, thank you. We have that. I think we need to get into these other appointments, which is agenda item 6, I believe. Okay, so maybe we can combine these,
A through N. A through N.
A through N. All right, so we have other appointments, items 6A through N. Is there a motion to approve these appointments? Mr. Trent, second.
I'll second the motion.
Ms. Felice, any discussion or questions about this? Okay, all in favor? of these appointments, A through N, and item 6, please raise your hand. It's unanimously approved. Thank you. And then we have item 7, the appointment of the school physician, and
A through C.
and A through C. For the physician, the chief medical officer for concussion management and school psychiatrist. So do we have a motion to approve items 7A through 7C? Ms. Aruda made the motion, a second by Mr. Trent. Any questions or discussion? All in favor of these appointments, please raise your hand. And it's there. Ms. Felice,
I'm so
you're
sorry.
okay?
Yes.
All right, so it's unanimously approved. Then we have items 8, and that's going to be, what initials do we have
A
here?
through P.
A
A through P.
A through B,
P,
right.
P.
That's 9.
No,
That's 9.
Oh.
A,
A,
Yep.
we need to
8A,
go
Z.
back to A and B,
Yeah.
8A and 8B.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
Right.
Apologies.
That was a lot of writing in all of those. Is there a motion to approve items 8A and 8B? Ms. Felice made the motion and a second by Ms. Ancona. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving items 8A and 8B? It's unanimously approved. The next appointment has to do, it's items 9. Just, again, I'm having trouble seeing the
That
initials.
is,
A through
P.
P, I believe. That's what we thought before.
Yeah, I misspoke before.
8, yeah, there we go. 9? Well, this had it broken down. Let's see, let's do items 9A and 9B, which it would be our general counsel and our labor counsel, both of whom are named as Gercio and Gercio. So is there a motion to approve items 9A and 9B? Ms. Aruda made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it for the purpose of discussion.
Okay, second by Ms. Felice. Questions or discussion?
Discussion.
Yes.
On the Labor Council contracts, I see that there's a modest increase, but an increase nonetheless. In the 2 contracts, this is no reflection, my comments are no reflection on the quality of work from Gercio and Gercio, but in these times that are very unpredictable, very trying, I would like to see the board move in a direction of having our vendors accept a no increase for this contract year, especially with the unknown that we're facing.
So, since normally we do appoint counsel at the reorg meeting, I'm wondering, can we do that not knowing whether or not Gercio and Gercio's firm would agree to that? If they would agree to it, then any paperwork that's already been prepared can just be modified simply to accomplish that.
Correct, and just to clarify, I'm not speaking against the appointment of the attorney firm, just the increase at this time.
So I would suggest, because we do need counsel, I would suggest to make the appointment for 1 month. So we can come back, we can entertain that request with the council and then come back rather than appoint for the year.
Okay.
That would be acceptable.
All right, so we've just had discussion, and it sounds like perhaps needing to undo the motion in the second and do a modified motion to approve appointment of counsel
Or we can
under,
make an amendment to the motion just without the increase.
Do we-
Appoint from 1 month.
Do we know that the whole board is in agreement of that? Because I have no problem with a $1,500 increase. So I don't know that we have,
Okay.
I just like to,
I'm sorry, I didn't
No, I
mean to
just-
gloss over.
yeah, that's
you know,
okay.
not
I just
having
like
discussion.
to, the board, we may have a majority that doesn't have a problem with the increase, so that's why I'd like to maybe either discuss it, is that the case, or whatnot? Because $1,500 on a $130 million budget doesn't seem unreasonable to me.
Okay, well then, let's just pursue that. If there's any more questions or discussion from any of the other board members before we decide how to proceed on this?
I agree with Chris, I don't have a problem with the increase. It's a
Okay,
small increase, so in this case, I do agree with Chris.
all right.
I would agree with that.
All right, so we have
Great.
3 with, I'm just kind of polling
forward as
the
is.
board, it's not an official vote. And so our choice will either be to vote as this is presented, 9A and 9B, to approve it, and we had the motion and it was seconded, or to look at the alternative, which would be to approve it for a month and then come back and look at the rest of the school year. Mr.
I
Pacino?
would suggest we vote on it, and depending on the outcome, we have an course of action. If it fails, then we vote for a month, and if it passes, then it passes.
Okay.
So I believe we can vote on the
Is
motion
that all right
as
with
is.
everybody? All
No,
right,
that would be the proper protocol.
okay. So we'll take the motion that was made and the second, and then all in favor of approving 9A and 9B with no alteration at this point, raise your hand. Okay, we have 6 in favor and 1 no. Thank you for that. So the appointment is approved. Next, we have items 9C through C through 9P. Is there a motion to approve these appointments? Okay, these are like bond counsel, fiscal advisors, auditors. Ms. Arudas made the motion, Mr. Trent has seconded. Any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approving items 9C through 9P, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's unanimously approved, thank you. Okay,
12.
item 10, bonding of employees. It's one item. Is there a motion to approve the bonding of employees set forth in item 10?
Sure, I'll make that.
Okay, Ms. Belize and Mr. Parker has seconded it. All in favor, please raise your hand. I see all hands raised, it's unanimously approved. Next are designations, this is in item 11. I'm going to break out C. We'll just be looking at items A, B, D, A, B, and D. Is there a motion to approve A, B, and D? Ms. Akona, second, Mr. Trent. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approval? It's is it unanimous? Yes, unanimous.
Oh.
Okay.
I didn't want to
Unanimously.
force you to vote a certain way. I just-
It would have passed anyway.
And if there wasn't social distancing, it
But-
would maybe a shut.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now we're going to go back to the one that I carved out, which is item 11C, our secondary official newspaper. we need to have a motion and a second so we can discuss this. Who will make the motion? Ms. Ancona made the motion, a second.
I'll second.
Second by
I'll
Mr. Trent. Any discussion?
I'm going to speak against the motion. There's reasons to believe, well, I'm not going to go into the details. I think everybody knows that the particular owner of the company had some transgressions, recently had another issue this year, and I just wish we could take some time to find another secondary paper. I realize we don't use it that often, and even if we went to Newsday, it would be a little bit more expensive, but I just have an issue with this, and I'll be speaking against and voting against the motion.
And that's basically what I said at this time last year about this topic. And I will be taking the same position this year. I think it is possible to hold off making a decision about a secondary newspaper because the way this is framed is it's only in connection with budget requirements, which will come up later in the year. So if we come back at the next meeting or even a meeting in August and get a secondary newspaper, we've still covered all our responsibilities for the district, and it would give a little time to find out a little bit more about cost and what's involved and what other publications are available to be the secondary publication. So, any other discussion on this matter?
Since it was brought up last year, I'm not familiar with the details of what is going on, so I would like to, just like you said, this way we could know a little bit more of the details that are going on. This is the second year that it's brought up, and I don't know any of the details, so it's maybe something we can discuss.
Yeah, I don't know anything about
So,
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, it's not confidential information, it's been in the newspapers, but for purposes of this motion, if people are comfortable with deferring this decision to another meeting, if we vote it down now, we can come back at a subsequent meeting over the next month or so.
Yeah, the chair, a
Well, I-
question for the superintendent. Is there a need for the secondary newspaper
Not
within
at
the
this
next month?
minute, no, not at this meeting, but I would suggest, rather than voting it down, just pull it.
Pull it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
If the
sorry,
board-
but
if the
I
board
thought that's what you
agreed.
were doing
Yeah.
when I had said, I thought you
All
were
right.
pulling it.
Well, Gina
That-
has to take back the
Oh.
motion.
Okay, so now you have to undo your undo the second and undo the making of the motion?
I undo the motion.
Okay. And so it's as if this was pulled from the agenda for today, and we'll put it back on within a month. We'll have more information.
We'll get you more information, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Next we have item 12, and it's going to be A through
Jay.
J. All right, so is there a motion to approve item 12A through J? Mr. Trent, a second.
I'll second.
Ms. Felice, questions or discussion?
Just one
Yes.
matter of discussion. I made an inquiry and about the credit card users for gas, and that's monitored. It's only people who drive vehicles, and it's monitored by the business office?
Business office, yes.
Okay. Just to ensure that we have the checks and
And
balances.
we significantly have reduced the number of credit cards in the district over the last 3 years.
Oh,
Very
okay.
well, thank you.
So petty cash for each of these schools is $100.
Yeah, and it's replenishable as it's used, yeah.
And my question has to do with the best value purchasing. And in the recommended action, it's if the cost exceeds $20,000. Is that considered a a good figure, or should it be lower, like 10?
Well, it's embedded in policy, so
Okay.
if you want to review that or look at it, then we should pull that policy. I don't recall the number. But I did look at it when I saw that inquiry. And that's the number. I mean, capital projects, I think it's 35,000, and other items, it's 20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President, for raising that again. I had that in my notes. But just in an effort of keeping a closer watch, we're in very untrying times, and it's 20,000 now. I think my question was, could it go to 10? Was that reasonable? And just so that we show that we're making sure we have enough checks and balances. So perhaps we can look at the policy again.
So would that mean we need to pull item F
No.
for now, or we can do it?
It's
and then
accurate.
We can,
It's accurate right now, it's by board policy, so I would vote on it, and then if we change policy, it'll be changed.
okay.
And just to speak to looking at, checks and balances, it's particularly with the concern of opening or reopening or what it might look like, we've already pulled food service because we don't know what it's going to look like, right? So we didn't put it on here for you to approve. All these other items are really needed to get going, whether school's opening or just the operation of the school district.
Okay, and then review of the policy is generally submitted to strategic planning, isn't it?
Mhm.
Okay,
Question.
yes.
In regards to the types of items that would be purchased with this level, is this something that would go through eBiz, or is this, would be an RFP or a
It could be
bid?
any of those.
It could be any of those.
It could be any of those things.
Because typically, if we go through eBiz, we don't get the best rate. We get the best rates on who bid, but we do better when we buy without using the bid process. So it's a double-edged sword
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
That's what everybody needs to understand, is that when people put in competitive bids for school districts, the price goes up. We just saw that with the $87,000 fence that we have at Fern Chris, when it should have cost us about $16,000 or $17,000. So are there checks and balances in the business office to make sure that, or is this anybody who had, this all goes through the business office, correct? As to what we're purchasing, so it's not like anybody is making purchases without bids, or business officials making sure we're getting the best price.
Correct.
Okay, so,
And our purchasing agent is pretty tough.
Ms. Ancona has a question.
Yes, on B, the budget transfers, the $5,000 that doesn't need to be approved by the board. How often does that happen? Is there a max on it? Because 5,000 to be transferring now, I understand there has to be transfers with the budget, but it seems like a lot without board consent.
Well,
So-
you're right, and it's not often, but it does happen time to time, particularly this school year.
Right.
And you will see more on the next agenda, just as a result of not operating as usual. So money's had to be moved to be able to do the things that we did do.
Right.
So it's not often, you do see them from time to time, but I do want to alert the board that next meeting, you're going to see a lot of them,
Okay,
just as a result of closing out the books
right.
and what we did, but we didn't plan to do it that way. So we had to make a lot of adjustments.
Okay, so there's no cap on how many times this money could be moved, spent, like, let's just say, I don't know, $100,000, like, there's no max without us knowing?
No,
I know
there
it's
is-
in
there is a
5,000
number.
increments, but,
No, there's a number that must go to the board, I believe it is 5,000.
right,
There are transfers that are below $100 or $250 that you don't see.
okay,
That are done, just simple budget managing stuff, whether it's going from supplies to contracted services. But there is that number of 5,000 with the board seats all over them.
okay.
And when it's submitted to the board, it's for a particular purpose. It's
Right.
not just monies going from one pocket to
I
another.
understand that, okay,
Okay,
thank you.
all right.
You're welcome.
Any more questions or discussion? Okay, so now, we had our motion, we had our second. All in favor of approving these items? Is that 12A through J? 12A through J. Raise hands. All, it's unanimously approved. Thank you. Now we're on 13. we have,
Is there approval of all the board policies,
Right.
project save, consent, the code of conduct, and summary of that? An inquiry was made, we did make some adjustments to project save, it had some old names on it, and it had some names that will need to be replaced down the road simply because those people retired, but those adjustments were made, so it's up to date and accurate.
okay. So with those changes having been made, is there a motion to approve the continuation of these policies and bylaws and district and project save and the code of conduct?
I'll make the motion to approve, just to clarify, the update was put in board docs?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you've made the motion to approve items 13A and 13B?
Correct.
Okay, is there a second, Mr. Parker? Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm sorry, I was, okay.
Okay. It's unanimously approved. And then the school meal pricing, this, you've already attended to this? or
This is, yes,
do
so
we
this
need-
is no increase in terms of the meal price.
Okay,
The contract is not here, but the price is fixed.
all right. So is there a motion to approve the meal pricing that's set forth in item 14? Mr. Parker, and second, Ms. Ancona. Questions or discussion?
I have a quick question. I don't know the name of the grant, so you're gonna have to forgive me, the business officer should know. Did we apply for the grant where we provide free lunch district-wide?
We did not hit the number to be able to do that.
What's the
But we are
number?
getting close in terms of, I don't know.
Is it an enrollment number?
It's per, you gotta have a certain number per school, and one of our schools just missed it.
So each school has to have
Yeah.
a specific number.
I
But we've
believe
met the criteria before and applied for it and didn't get it, correct?
Yes, and we have been looking at it annually.
What's the name of that program
I
again?
don't remember.
There's a program, that I don't remember who the grant is, but William Floyd has it right now. Everybody gets free lunch, regardless. It's free for everybody. So I guess, so we don't hit the criteria to apply this year. Okay, thank you.
Just one quick,
Yes.
one of our schools only missed the number.
Yeah, one of them just missed the number, I believe. Don't, let me get you the details in the update tomorrow, but
Okay.
we have been looking to apply annually for it. And Ms. Costa indicated to me earlier this year that we just missed it.
I think we've
That's
applied the
missing.
last 5 years in a row and been denied.
Would you get back with us?
Yes, yes.
And you may recall that with one of our advisory committees,
Community
There-
eligibility provision. Ms. Costa just texted me.
She's zooming from real.
no, that's true, but there's been some discussion about other school districts and what they've been able to do. So it's not been backburnered, it's been looked at, is the point I'm trying to make.
Correct.
Okay, but I think we have a motion that was made and seconded to approve the pricing for the school meals. And all in favor? I think it's going to be unanimous, maybe? Yes, yes, it's unanimously approved. And now, who would like to make the motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting? Mr. Trent. And a second by Ms. Aruda. All in favor? It's unanimously, we're adjourning the reorganization meeting so we can move on to our business meeting, which I'm now calling to order. And let's see. We already did the Pledge of Allegiance when we opened the reorganization meeting. And
Need a motion to go into
but,
executive session.
right, what we do need is a motion to enter executive session, and that's to discuss pending litigation, and since counsel is here, we will be able to have the discussion with counsel. So is there a motion to please to authorize us to go into executive session. Mr. Trent, second by Ms. Aruda, all in favor? Okay, that's all approved. We're now closing the public portion for purposes of going into executive session. When we finish that, we'll come back and reopen the public session.
We just need to do a photo before you go into